Alrighty, so the penultimate day of the Leeds Cup Group Stage action is in the books. We got one more day of Leeds Cup Group Stage action as tomorrow, New England take on Nashville to conclude the final game of the Leeds Cup Group Stage action. Before we're gonna have the round of 32 relatively quick. In fact, the round of 32 actually starts on Wednesday, which means that after when I do finish doing the review of the New England Revolution versus Nashville SC, I'm gonna have to do another video filling out the bracket and picking my winner in terms of this year edition of the Leeds Cup. But that being said, let us actually take a look at these games. And of course, I was able to watch half of these games, and I gotta say, I really made the right decision in terms of picking the game that I want to watch fully and do a fully detailed game, because both of these games I'm about to do a fully detail. We have one game that was just probably might go down as the best game of the group stage tournament, and then one game where, yeah, some sweet justice that was made in this game after a very controversial call that happened in this one. So let's start with the game that I think that is probably going to go down as the best game so far in this tournament, because man, this game between Cincinnati versus NYCFC, even though this game, for both of these teams, it's kind of a meaningless game. Both of these teams is going to qualify into the next round. This just kind of determine who's going to finish first and in second position. Don't tell that to the players in this game. I mean, yeah, this was a game where there was a lot of momentum swing, and then just as you thought the NYCFC was comfortably getting at the 2-0 win and able to finish top of the group, yeah, they absolutely self-destruct late in this game against Cincinnati. Now, early on, Kelsey would hit one right to Barraza, as I thought Cincinnati was on the front foot. They were pressing for the opening goal. The post would deny Valenzuela of a banger from long range. And it's a shame the fact that the post got in the way, because if that one went in, that's going to be in contention for a goal of the tournament. I mean, what a hit that was from Dado Valenzuela, but unfortunately the post got in the way. And then he throws it wide from close range in the 14th minute. He was everywhere, Valenzuela, in this game, especially in this early lead bid where he was pretty much the offense for the most part for this Cincinnati team. In fact, the shots were 4-0 for Cincinnati 16 minutes in. It was all Cincy in this game. But then in the 25th minute, really just completely against the run of play, and really the first real look that NYCFC has on the attack, they score. It's Santi Rodriguez. He scored for Morales to give NYCFC a 1-0 lead. As I said, that was the first shot for NYCFC, and just completely against the red play. Like, I did not expect NYCFC just kind of out of nowhere able to get themselves the opening goal in this one. And then Walters would deny Morales from close range in the 29th minute. So Paul Walters, of course, getting his first start in this game as the Cincy netminder, as looks like Roman Salatano got the night off. But there was no doubt that NYCFC looked like they have the momentum, and Cincinnati just looked completely rattled after getting sucker punch. And I don't blame them, because again, they looked so comfortable, at least in the first 20 minutes of this game, and all of a sudden, the old saying goals does change game and change momentum, and now the momentum seems like it's with NYCFC. Though Pinto did put one into the Bailey in the 36th minute before Oriano puts one just wide on the free kick, as I thought Cincy regained that momentum. They were pressing for the equalizer. However, as I mentioned before, the momentum just keep swinging left and right, because in the 41st minute, Mijatovic would puts it wide from close before Walters had to deny Fernandez from close just 1 minute later, and then he had to deny McFarland from close before he had to deny Rodriguez from close in the near post in the first minute of stoppage time. What in the world is going on with the Cincinnati backline? I mean, I know the Cincinnati backline has had their issue, especially with the injuries that they've been dealing with in the last couple of weeks. But my word, this Cincinnati backline, I mean, it was a no show, at least in the latter part of the first half, and that there was just so much space for NYCFC to work with, and it was just way too easy for NYCFC to exploit there. And that, yeah, the end we do head to halftime with NYCFC leading 1-0, but Cincinnati is probably lucky the fact that it's only 1-0, and that's saying something considered they dominate the first 20 minutes of the game, and the fact that if it wasn't for NYCFC being more clinical, they probably wouldn't be down 1-0 heading into the second half. Now, heading in the second half, Morales would puts one right to Walters before Bear would puts it over from close range. Kelsey then puts it wide on the curler, as I thought Cincinnati started to press once again for the equalizer. But every time it felt like at that point when Cincinnati looked like they were going to get themselves a goal, NYCFC will go on the other end and throw a bit of a sucker punch. And they did it again here in the 61st minute as Majanovic would score to give NYCFC a 2-0 lead. And, up to this point, I thought the young goalkeeper Paul Walters has had a good game. Yeah, this was definitely not a moment he would love to see, look back. And that I will also say that this is kind of the case when when you see with young goalkeepers where they can have a game where they pull off some spectacular save, but they always will have these kind of moments where they make one big mistake. And here again, he just gave up a juicy rebound there right into the path of Majetovic, who buries it to give NYCFC a 2-0 lead. And then he was looking for the third goal for NYCFC, but this time Walter was there to gather that one. And then Valenzuela would puts it over from close range, which I thought that sums up Cincinnati night. Like it's been a frustrating night up to that point where it just feels like nothing is going right with this team, especially in terms of the finishing department. And then NYCFC decided that, yeah, you know what? Let's not finish the top of the group. Let's just decided to go on a San Jose Earthquakes slash Minnesota United level of collapse late in this game. And maybe in some way I would also throw Sporting KC in there as well. I'm sorry, Sporting KC fan, but those three teams that I throw in are probably the three teams that have loved to like the idea of just pressing the self-destruction button every single game, because it all started in the 79th minute when Pavabuka would score from Valenzuela to make it 2-1 in favor of NYCFC. Not long after, Yamil Hassan would score from Wobodo to tie the game up at 2 apiece, and then 3 minutes later, Yaya Kubo would score from Awazin to give Cincinnati a 3-2 lead. Not only the comeback was complete for Cincinnati, but just a complete meltdown for NYCFC in the last 6 minutes. And it continued as in the 89th minute, of all players with to get on the score sheet, and things are bad for your team when Sergio Santos score a goal. I mean, this is no disrespect to Sergio Santos, but he's been snake bitten for the Cincinnati team for a while. So if you give up a goal to Sergio Santos, yeah, it's no surprise he deserved to lose. And it just kind of sums up how big of a meltdown this was for NYCFC. He scored here from Valenzuela to give Cincinnati a 4-2 lead. And again, NYCFC basically having a Quakes-like meltdown. And almost like they got a taste of their own medicine in terms of how. Remember how a couple of weeks ago when the Quakes absolutely self-destruct against NYCFC in the last 10 minutes, where it was a 1-1 game, it looked like it was a tight game, and then next thing you know, it was 5-1 in favor of NYCFC. This is pretty much similar to that. Then it could have been 5-2 if Barraza didn't deny Assad from long range. By the way, all four of those goals scored that scored in this game for Cincinnati, all of them came off the bench for Cincinnati. So that just kind of shows you how much of a great substitution that I know Pat Nolan of course didn't make these subs because he was not available in this game, but he might as well just plan these subs at halftime and did and worked out not only to a treat but turns out to be the turning point of this game. And then in the fifth minute stoppage time, it looked like Santos looked like he scored again for the second time of this game, but obviously the MLS gods saw Santos able to score a goal, and yeah, they're not going to allow him to score another one. And this time it was a goal that was disallowed for offside. It was very close though. I think maybe a foot or two offside, but that being said, it was still 4-2 up to this point. And at this rate, NYCFC was begging for the full time whistle because my goodness, Cincinnati in a span of 10 minutes just completely run riot ever since they got their first goal back in the 79th minute. And yeah, in the end, Cincinnati, what a comeback this is for them, and just what an absolute meltdown this was for NYCFC. I mean, NYCFC had a lot of meltdown throughout their franchise history. I mean, we've seen it before in the playoffs before, but this is probably the biggest meltdown I've seen this team have suffer in a single game itself. And compared to this meltdown to some of the playoffs meltdown that they had, this is in a way where again I did not see this coming with the way that it's not like this is kind of a meltdown where you kind of expected with the way that Cincinnati put a lot of pressure. Cincinnati, they looked like they were dead and buried heading into the last 10 minutes of this game. And as the old saying, oh, goals of course change games, but I did not expect that is literally the lateral meaning. And that again, NYCFC just un unbelievably self-destruct in this game out of this one. But the shots in this one, 20 shots per to 15 that NYCFC had, 9 shots on the goal per to 8 that Cincinnati had, 7 shots off target per to 5 that NYCFC had, 1 shot that was blocked per to 3 that FC Cincinnati has, and possession-wise, 50% for both of these teams. And I guess the only silver lining for NYCFC coming out of this game is that if you're gonna have a historic meltdown as they did in this game, do it in a game like this where it's kind of a meaningless game because both of these teams are gonna move on into the next round no matter what. But in the end, it's Cincinnati, the one that tops their group with NYCFC finish in second position, and that there's no doubt that NYCFC will want to move on from this as quick as possible because again the round of 32 is definitely around the corner, and that there's no doubt that the NYCFC is looking to not repeat what they did in this game. I mean, just unbelievable meltdown that we saw in this game, but at the same time, unbelievable comeback that Cincinnati showing the resilience that they shown in this game. But that being said, moving on into the last game that I watched fully, and I'm gonna do a detailed review, is Leon and the Colorado Rapids. So as I said before, this was a game where if you want to see a game where sweet justice would be made in this game, then this is a prime example of it because the Colorado Rapids, I gotta say, they kind of got robbed, at least early on, of a very controversial call that gone against them. But yeah, as the old saying goes, the ball don't lie, and eventually the sweet justice is gonna come back, and that's exactly what happened in this game. Although the Rapids definitely left it really late in this one, shall we say. Now, early on, Mendoza would put it wide from long range as the shots were only one apiece early in this game. Umbridge then puts it wide from long range in the 13th minute before Larias hits one right to Blanco. Stefan then denied Farias from long range as the shots were 4-1 for Leon 30 minutes in. I thought they were the better team, and they were very threatening whenever they go on the transition. Stefan then denied Mendoza from close before he denied Goria from close in the 43rd minute as Leon continued to press to try to get the opening goal, but we do head to halftime scoreless between both of these teams. In the second half, Stefan would deny Cadiz on a lightning counterattack as, again, Leon has looked like the better side coming out of the half, especially coming out out of the on the transitional attack. Elsiva then puts one high from long range in the 50th minute before Larraz on the other end puts it wide from close. Navarro then heads it high from close in the 55th minute. By the way, this is when Georgi Mihajevic, of course, was subbed in this one, and it's no surprise the Rapids looked much more dangerous when Mihajevic was coming into this game. They clearly miss him in that creative spot, and he provide a spark as the Rapids. They definitely woke up in the second half. They were pressing to try to get the opening goal. Navarro and Lewis, both of them missed a tap in from 4 yards out, and I think Navarro kind of got pulled off by Lewis there because Lewis looked like he was the one that was going to tap it in, and then when Lewis didn't get to it, I think Navarro kind of didn't realize that he was gonna be the one to tap that one in. So yeah, very unfortunate there, but it stayed 0-0 up to this point. Blanco then denied Mihajevic on the free kick in the 60th minute. The shots were now 9-6 for Leon at the hour mark, as things were definitely getting even. And again, up to this point, this is when with the game being at 0-0, you just kind of had a sense that maybe one goal is going to be enough. In this game, which was virtually an elimination game for both of these teams. The winner of this is going to be moving on. The loser, of course, is going home. Stefan then denied Mendoza from close range. That once again came from a transitional attack from Leon, which the Rapids had no answer in terms of this Leon transition all night long. And then in the 82nd minute, this is when we had some controversy. So Guerra would score the opening goal for Leon in this game, but the big controversy is that whether or not if it was an offside call, and that it is very very tight. I guess because of the lines that they put on the replay kind of shows a more definitive look on this because again, one thing about this Leeds Cup that is different from MLS is that they actually have the offside lines implemented in this, and with the way that they drawn it, it looks like that it was just onside in terms of it because the angle that they of course shown. I think if this was in MLS, probably this call wouldn't have overturned. I think there wasn't really a definitive angle from what I see in that play that is disallow or overturn this call that was originally an offside call that disallowed the goal. But that was not the biggest controversy at this point, because the bigger controversy out of this, and this is where I think the Rapids got robbed in this moment, is that there probably should have been a foul on the development of the play, because as the ball was gonna would play through, it looked like Cadiz basically swing his arms toward Maxo intentionally there. Now I think when you look back on this, it definitely looked like Cadiz did that intentionally, and there was malicious intent to do so. And if that's the case, I mean that's a red card. Like you cannot swing your arm toward the your opponent's face, especially in a malicious kind of manner. That's violent conduct every single time. So the fact that I'm pretty sure they did look at that, and the fact that they didn't call that, and then of course eventually called the goal, of course, was disallowed for offside. Yeah, at that point I really felt bad for Rapids fan, and that I feel like the Rapids might have just got CONCACAF in this moment. And I know the Leeds Cup is not run by CONCACAF, but I've seen this happen before, where whenever MLS team face against Liga MX team in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, or the CONCACAF Champions League as it's known, a controversial call that got their or gone against the MLS team. That's when we always say that, yeah. Looks like the MLS team just got CONCACAF, and in this moment, it feels like the Rapids got CONCACAF in this moment. Though that being said, in the 86th minute, Yapi did look to respond, but he blasted that one all the way to Nebraska before Blanco absolutely robbed Bombito from point blank header there. It was a lovely delivery from the corner, as you expect with the Rapids. They're one of the best team in MLS in terms of set piece delivery from the corner. But what a save this was from the Leon keeper Blanco, absolutely robbing Bombito from point blank. There was no doubt the Rapids, they were pressing hard to try to get the equalizer, knowing that their Leeds Cup hope is at stake in this one. They push hard to try to get the equalizer, though they almost gave up the second goal on the other ends, as the post denied Mendoza on the curler before Mendoza would hit the side netting, as the Leon looked to kill this game off. And those two chances would come back to bite Leon in a big way, because in the 7 minute of stoppage time, literally the last kick of the game, Navarro would score from Rosenberry to tie the game up at one apiece. That's the first goal that Navarro has scored in quite a while. He's been going for a bit of a goal drought, but yeah, what a time to break that goal drought. And literally the last kick of the game literally looked like the Rapids were just seconds away of getting eliminated from this competition. And I also wrote ball don't lie and more Leeds Cup after dark, because again, looked like the Rapids just got CONCACAF in this one, and then it feels like, yeah, they're not gonna get CONCACAF. It looks like justice is gonna prevail in this one. And yeah, I feel very happy to see the Rapids, of course, getting that equalizer. But I kind of celebrated, because justice has to be made after how the Rapids clearly got CONCACAF in this game. So that being said, that ties the game up at one apiece, but we do still go to the PK shootout to decide who, of course, win this PK shootout. Now, so far, most of the time when we see a team that score in the stoppage time to get the equalizer, the team would actually went on to lose. We saw it in the game between Chivas and the Quakes, where Chivas scored late and the Quakes were able to win the PK shootout. We also saw it in the Chivas Galaxy game, where Chivas scored a late goal, but Galaxy able to win against Chivas. And even in a non-Chivas kind of example, the Union, of course, scoring a late equalizer against Cruz Azul, but Cruz Azul went out to win the PK shootout. So I was very concerned the fact that, yeah, the Rapids did a good job in terms of coming back and scoring late to send us to a PK shootout. But so far, in terms of recent history, at least in this year's edition of the Leeds Cup, the team that scored the late equalizer to force the PK shootout has been on the losing side. But it all changed in this game, because in round number 5, after Maxo actually missed his penalty that would have won the PK shootout for the Rapids. And honestly, if Maxo actually put that win, that is a sweet taste of justice for the Rapids, because Maxo was the one that was involved in that play, when Cadiz basically swing his arms toward him. But that being said, Zach Steffen comes up big to say in the penalty spot. They mentioned he actually have saved 8 out of the 26 PK that he has taken. He actually has had a really good PK save record, and it comes up big in this one, because he denied Reyes in round 5. He actually not only denied Reyes, but he was able to catch that one. I mean, you usually do not see penalty that is easily catched by the goalkeeper, or even caught by the goalkeeper, and it wasn't really a bad penalty, I think, for Reyes, but Steph just gets the right way there. He caught the penalty, and what a way for the Rapids to win the PK shootout and move on into the next round. And in the same process, eliminating Clute Leon in the process. The shots in this one: 14 shots for the 10 that the Rapids had, 3 shots on goal for the 8 that Leon has, 5 shots off target for the 3 that the Rapids had, 3 shots as blocked for the none that Leon has, and possession-wise, 56% possession compared to 44% possession that Leon has in this game. And as I said, what a way of sweet justice that is being made. And usually you do not see this happen often, where a MLS team can get CONCACAF, but in the end they still get that sweet justice, and karma comes back to bite the team that got the upper hand after one of their opponent getting CONCACAF. But we definitely saw it in this game between the Rapids and Leon, and they well deserve to move on into the next round in this game against Leon. Now, moving on into talk about the other notable results. So there was 2 other games that were notable. One game that also had some play knockout round at stake, and one game also kind of similar to the Cincinnati versus NYCFC game, kind of a meaningless game, only decide who of course finished first and second. So we talk about first the game that still had some elimination at stake, and that of course is the game between the Houston Dynamo and RSL. And I gotta say, not only the Dynamo got their revenge after losing in their earlier meeting in the league against RSL, but my goodness, the Dynamo, they absolutely own RSL so far when it comes to knockout competition. Like going back to last year when we saw not only in the playoffs but even in the U.S. Open Cup as well. I'm pretty sure if you're Real Salt Lake and heading into the playoffs this season, and I know they haven't clinched the playoffs, but I'm pretty sure RSL is going to make it to the playoffs. If there's one team that Real Salt Lake does not want to face in the playoffs in the Western Conference this season, it's the Houston Dynamo, because the Houston Dynamo has had RSL number when it comes to these games where it's a elimination game. And the Dynamo pull off a big win here, 3-0 win against RSL, and they got those goals scoring started early with Hector Herrera getting the opening goal before Michael would score from Herrera to make it 2-0, and then it was 3-0 in the 42nd minute when Justin Glad unfortunately score an own goal, and that was enough for Houston getting a 3-0 win. Definitely one of the best performances the Dynamo has put this season, but at the same time, also one of the worst performances that RSL has put this season. I mean, I think between this game and the one against the Timbers, pick your choice in terms of the worst performance that Real Salt Lake has played, and also they picked the worst time to put one of their worst performance of the season, because this is a game where the Dynamo winning this game, they had to win by a certain margin to move on into the next round. I think if they only win by one, I think RSL would have still moved on into the next round. But unfortunately, they didn't just win by one; they won by a couple, and I think that's kind of just sense that's why the Dynamo, they definitely didn't stop early with the goal scoring. They want to get as much goal as possible to improve their goal differential and move on into the next round. And hence, that's exactly what they did. They get the 3-0 win against RSL, and if I'm not mistaken, I think they also top the group as well, because in terms of goal differential, they got a +3 goal differential out of this, and are able to not only overtake RSL but Atlas in the same space in terms of the goal differential, because all these teams were end up with 3 points at the end of the group stage. So yeah, what a win this is for the Houston Dynamo, but for Real Salt Lake, yeah, this is definitely devastating. And a team that I thought they were going to do some good things in this Leagues Cup, especially with how good they've been looking in the league. Yeah, we already seen some teams that look like they were the favorites to do well in this tournament. I mean, we talk about Rayados being one of those teams that were favorites to go deep, and they got grouped in the Leagues Cup, and you could say the same thing for RSL. It's got to be very disappointing after getting that big victory and that big come from behind win against Atlas. They just decided to put up one of the worst performance that they had in this game against a team that just simply have owned them when it comes to knockout competition in the last 2 seasons. And then the last game, of course, is Toluca versus Sporting KC, and I would say like Toluca might have got some revenge over Sporting KC. And if you're wondering what kind of revenge Toluca got against Sporting KC, remember back in 2018 when both of these teams faced in the CONCACAF Champions League, and Sporting KC basically owned Toluca throughout those 2 legs, and that included an impressive 2-0 win that Sporting KC had against Toluca, where the Toluca fans got so fed up with their team that they literally were olaying their own players as a result of it. But yeah, Toluca definitely got some revenge in this one. They get the 2-1 win in this one. They got the opening goal in the 40th minute from Angulo, though Afrifa did equalize quickly from Russo to tie the game up at 1 apiece, but that only allowed Araujo scoring from Garcia to give Toluca the 2-1 lead, and they would hold on to win this game and also topping their group as a result with 6 points. Good news for Sporting KC is they still are moving on into the next round because pretty much it was confirmed after they got that big win against the Chicago Fire. They were moving on into the next round, and I think they'll be happy to do so because again, you know, with the way that their league campaign has pretty much gone in the wayside. It's pretty much there's only two competition that they're really hoping that they can salvage their season. It's this tournament and also the U.S. Open Cup. But there you have it. That is pretty much it in terms of looking at tonight's Leeds Cup action. Again, tomorrow we got one more game to look at, which is the New England Revolution versus Nashville. Before, as I mentioned, I'm gonna have to do that video where I'm gonna look at the bracket and basically fill out the bracket to predict who I think is gonna win this edition of the Leeds Cup. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, of course, we'll see you guys next time.